So we're going to go on to our next section, and don't follow along in your pamphlet because it's different. So we have our youth and elder panel. I will ask the youth who are speaking to head up on the stage, and I'm going to ask Rebecca, who's back there. For those of you who don't know Rebecca, where I come from, we talk about the women who've moved mountains. That's when you've done something really good, you've moved a mountain. Rebecca's a mountain mover from way back. So I'm super excited to hand the microphone over to her and her amazing team, and I can't wait to hear what all of you guys have to say.
Thank you so much, Tosh. Such an honor to, it's so hard to follow Tosh, right? Like, what am I going to say even? How am I going to make people laugh? Welcome, everybody. Super honored to be here on the traditional territory of the Kwanlin Nation and the Ta'an Quachin Council. I'm here with my posse. And they're going to all squeeze in and make sure that our knowledge keepers have enough space to sit in a comfy chair. Okay, Finn, a couple of you come down and sit here. Look, poor Annie. Let's go. Do we know each other well enough for that, you guys? That's a joke. They get it, but they're not laughing. So happy to be here. We have been asked to speak on the topic of healthy substance use or non-healthy substance use. My name is Rebecca, and I work as the manager of the Yukon First Nation Education Directorates. So I lead a team of knowledge keepers who guide me, and a team of junior advocates, our youth who are sprinkled in there, and a group of senior advocates. So I'm not pausing because they're not as important, but it's harder to explain their role. There's 15 of them, and they work in the schools. Our mandate is to improve academic outcomes for Indigenous students in Yukon schools, all Yukon schools. So how we do that, we've had to be very creative in how we do that, but we base it on the foundation of land, connecting kids to the land, connecting our kids to their language, and connecting them to our knowledge keepers and our elders, who are just so important in those relationships are key. And I think, I don't really know why we're invited here, but we're really happy to be here. But I think that all of the stuff that you guys are talking about today and over the next couple of days, in helping youth be healthy so that they can lead good lives and feel success and empowerment. That's us in a nutshell. And I also have some other members of my team here. So the kids, I'm sorry, kids, they're like, please stop calling us kids. The youth and the knowledge keepers, and then I'm going to introduce the team in the crowd, and then I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves as to who they are, where they're from. And then we can get to the questions, which they've been practicing, right? Answers to. So this is Montana Dawson. She's the assistant to the education advocates. This is Olive Moreland. She's here to support. She's an First Nation education advocate. Gail Ball, also a First Nation education advocate. Darcy Karlik, also a First Nation advocate. And my good friend Marion Promozic. Just a friend. She's just a friend. We have boys the same age. Am I missing anybody? Okay, so I know we normally go sunwise, but I would like to start with Braden. If you could introduce yourself, just say your name, where you're from, and who your grandma was.
I'm Braden Gleason Frost, and my grandpa was Stephen Frost, and my grandma was Ethel Frost. And on my dad's side, my grandpa was Rick Smith and Sandy Gleason.
My name is Peter Johns. My dad's from Carcross. My mom's from Tesla. My dad's name's Howard Johns. Same with my grandpa. My grandma is Roberta Johns. On my mom's side, my grandma's name is Pearl Callahan, and my grandpa's name was Mike. That's about it.
My name's Landon Marsh. My family's originally from northern Saskatchewan. My grandparents are Brian Marsh and Roberta Marsh, and my mom's side is Wendy Osborne and Ray Osborne.
My name is Isaiah de Villiers, born and raised here in Whitehorse, Yukon. My dad's side of the family is from Inuvik, Northwest Territories, and my mom's side is from Mamirshee, New Brunswick, and yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Ellis. I'm a Trondheim elder. I was born in Dawson City, and my mother was Bessie Ellis. She was born in Fort Salkert, and I'm from the Wolf clan, Mussy.
I'm Russell Burns, and I'm born and raised here in Whitehorse, Yukon. My mother and father is Emma Burns and John Burns, and they were born and raised here in Whitehorse, Yukon. My grandma and grandpa is Bessie Burns, Charlie Burns, and they were born and raised here in Whitehorse, Yukon. And thanks for everything.
Hello. Okay. ING Kamalshe Chia Uye Agunda Iche Ama Krista Reed Uye Ata Kasha Uye Dakwakata Uninje. My name is Lahela. I am Wolf Clan. My mother's name is Krista Reed and my father's name is Kasha. I'm from Haines Junction, and my grandmother on my father's side is Fran Asp, and my grandfather, mother's side, no, that's my father's side. But my father, on my father's side, my grandfather is William Asp, and my mother's mother is Louise Darrow and Neil Darrow. Yashish.
My name is Finn Bradford Andrew, and my mom is Rebecca Bradford Andrew over there. And my dad is Richard, and my dad's family is from Black Falls, Alberta, and my mom's family is from Dease Lake, BC. And my grandpa on my mom's side is Miles Bradford, and my grandma on my mom's side is Sherry Bradford, and my grandpa on my dad's side is Daryl. Daryl, and my grandma on my dad's side is Susan.
I am Anika Enoch, and I am from the White River First Nations. My mom is Deborah Enoch, and my grandparents are Lena and Jimmy Enoch.
My name is Brooklyn Mason. I am a part of the Quanlin Dunn band, and my grandmother is Barbara Fred. I am born and raised in Whitehorse, but I did live in Dawson City for a bit. Any Dawsonites in here? Pretty cool.
Drin Quincy. Shuri Annie Bernard Vaji, Jo at each oots at Guchins at each oots at Shahan Tabitha Kendi Bernard Vaji at Vit Shitsu Chance a Shitsi Ha Jarvis Chance and Nellie Michelle of Dawson Goods at the Ginju. Hello, my name is Annie Bernard. I'm a Wolf Clan. I'm the daughter of the famous woman in Northwest Territories, Tabitha Kendi Bernard from Van Cut and Fort McPherson, and her parents are Jarvis and Nellie Mitchell from Dawson and used to reside in Fort McPherson. Masi Cho.
I'm Jada Allen. I'm from Watson Lake, born and raised. I moved up here about 5 years ago. Yeah. My family originated in Carmen, Manitoba, so.
Thank you. Good introductions, everybody. I appreciate the strong support for the youth and the elders here. So my job is to kind of mediate or moderate a panel, and I've never done it before, so just kind of bear with me a little bit. I have 4 questions that I was going to ask the team, and I will start with the first one, which is, you ready? It's like the clock ticking. Does anybody have any reading glasses? Thank you, my friend. That's a friend right there. Thinking of adults or various programs in your life, it could be art, recreation, or on-the-land programs. What are 1 or 2 things that have been the most helpful when it comes to substance use prevention and positive mental health?
If I'm understanding the question right, I think a lot of the after-school sports helped a lot until the COVID, and then after COVID it stopped for like a lot. But I'm coaching the grade 8 girls right now for volleyball, and I've had a few issues related with substance abuses with a few of the girls, and some of the other ones that I've talked to, they've grown from volleyball, and I've seen them grow. So those after school programs, I think, really have been helping. And they also help, like, I'm young, I'm only 18. I still have, everyone goes into the path of drugs. So like me taking it and coaching, that's like another way of getting out. So I don't know, it's like a 2-in-1.
So like coaching is your drug.
Yeah.
I talked to a few of my friends in school to get their input on the questions, and what we came to, like the answer, or not the answer, but what we came up with was making clubs feel like a community and feel like all of the kids were supported. And because if you don't have a support system, you turn to things that feel good. And it's so hard to go to someone and ask for help if you don't already have that support. And to have that support throughout, like, just your education, and to have people that you know you can rely on. I think that's a really big thing. Thank you.
So a support system. And Lahaler, you go to school here in Whitehorse, but you live in Haines Junction?
Yes.
So where do you live here?
I live at the dorms. The opportunities we get there are amazing, and it builds relationships with the staff and students. And just last night, like, my whole girls wing were making TikToks and dancing with each other. And I know it's against the rules, but we all go into each other's rooms to rant about our days and to talk about how we feel and stuff like that. And just, we made that support system. It wasn't like this last year, I know that. But because of the activities we've done and the areas that we can hang out, which are allowed, we do have that support, and we created that together. And we do have support from the staff. My favorite staff member is Tara.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Lahaler. Peter?
Hi. From my experience when I was going through treatment and stuff, I needed a lot of help when I had my substance abuse, which stemmed from the residential schools. But I got the support I needed, and that was a big bonus for me because it actually showed me that somebody actually cared, for my health and safety and everything else. Because I was really heavy into substance because I just wanted to drown everything out, forget about everything. But and I met a good friend there. He never judged me, he didn't label me. He was just a friend, that supported me. And that went a long way for me. And here I am today, and talking about it, and I can't thank that guy enough for it, and my counselors too, and to me, when I see these kids out on the land, getting connected with themselves and the land, they're, to me, it's so that they're finding where they belong, and not connecting with themselves, and the pride you see in their faces once they start figuring out where they belong in life, and it shows on their face, and it's rewarding, and that's the rewarding part I love. Mercy.
Madhu. Peter?
I'm nervous now. I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. I had it all like written in my head. This isn't really from like talking to anybody, but just examining the communities and stuff. I think that art is a really good way to prevent substance use and help people overcome substance use because it's a way you can project your thoughts and your like heart into literally anything, whether it's like writing, painting, sculpting, even movie making, or just like little things like that. Anything that you can project your heart onto is art, and it can help you relate to things or just understand some stuff that's going on. I don't really know, but art's good. And you could do it at like whatever age, or like with what Jada said with like the after school sports and stuff. You can't do that when you're like 40, maybe. I don't know. I'm only 15 and my body is starting to get like frail. So I don't think like I don't know. But art, you can just sit in a chair and you can just do whatever. So I think art is a really good answer.
Don't put that down.
Uh-oh.
Can you tell everybody, you don't have to if you don't want to, a little about your music? You're a musician, and what music meant to you over the last few years.
Uh-oh. I don't know. Music's always been really big for me. Whether it's just the sound and the stories, something about it, I don't know. It feels like bringing two different things and just colliding it together to make something that sounds really good. And if you have like the right sound, you could mix the story into the sound and just it can make you enter this whole like world. Anyways, yeah, that's music. It's pretty big for me.
And art. Tell me about a program, Landon, that helped you when you're in grade 7.
Probably the bison hunt. It's something that I continued throughout high school as well, and it was always something to look forward to going to school. And it was something that we planned out right at the start of the year. So even if we went in March or February, we spent the first 3-4 months of school getting ready for it, taking courses, making meals. So it was always something to look forward to, and I don't know, keep me going to school and find something to like enjoy about it. And I don't know, I've always liked going out on the land, and that was an amazing escape for me, and it's 5 days with usually people that you're pretty close with. You build great relationships through it. Me and Isaiah, that's probably where our friendship developed, was through that stuff. And I don't know. I don't really have a friend like Isaiah now, so it's pretty special to be able to do that kind of stuff here. And I think outdoor programs are very good for children and will help a lot for a lot of kids.
Thank you, Landon. That was very eloquent. Okay, I'm going to read the question one more time. Anybody has any last thoughts? We'll move on to the next question, which is going to be read by Darcy Carlick. Thinking of adults or various programs in your life, it could be art, recreation, or on-the-land programs. What are one or two things that were the most helpful when it comes to substance use prevention and positive mental health?
I have the stand. Okay. So I feel like the emotional state and the teachable state do go in hand. So for me, my personal experience is I was recreationally using, and I wasn't attending school. I wasn't attending those after-school activities. I wasn't a part of a community, and I was labeled as various things. I knew that wasn't me, and the emotional connection that really helped me through accessing those avenues and those pathways was the staff, those ETAs, those volunteers that go into the community centers, those rec centers, and them reaching out to kids, just the bond, to have that emotional connection. And once I was able to openly trust, everything else followed and allowed me to open my eyes to actually go try new things, to try new avenues. I tried exercising. I started getting back into music, and I started to learn a lot about my culture and where I came from. And on the land, like going out onto the land and going to these moose hide camps and first hunt, bison camps, various other activities. And there's such an emotional connection with the land that is more grounding and more like therapy that I could never receive in any other setting. And with the staff that was there, they were also coming from backgrounds where this really helped them grow and helped them shape who they were. It gave me a form of identity, and these staff really, I did stem from all the things they learned from, and it was just incredible to find that.
Thank you, Brooklyn. We're going to move on to our next question unless anybody has any other things to say. I want to give you time. Just so everybody knows, we were only supposed to have 6 youth up on the panel today, but all their friends came to support them. So
I'll just share a little bit too. You know, today is an awesome day for us to all intertwine, have this positive agenda that's been published for the future. I myself was also like these young people, but I stand behind them wholeheartedly with a positive attitude, and I support them. You know, growing up as being the only child, I've been where these young people have been. I've been into drugs. I've been into bad relations. I've been into everything. But one thing that really made Annie look the way she is today from 14 to today is the support, the trust, and the positiveness that people showed me as being the only child to my mom. You know, so the big thing about this is positiveness. When somebody tell you their life story, don't run around and spread it all over. Keep it to yourself, because Annie trusts you, so she let her whole heart out to you. So that's one of the biggest things that made me who I am today, with a strong heart to support these youth from YFNED and behind them wholeheartedly. I just try to retire out of education, but here I am sitting in the midst of all the young educators. But, you know, we don't have to give up on them. I went to California to do some counseling courses, and there the speaker said, you should never give up on your children. Never. We all make mistakes in life to learn good lessons. Sometimes it's hard to do those lessons that presenter told us. But she said the best lessons I use, just so we don't have confrontations and throw our kids into the river and commit suicide. She said, take their pictures and go by the river and just talk to Annie and tell her what you want to tell her about her behavior, instead of going in front of our kids and telling them, don't drink, don't do this, don't hang out. That, I raised children by myself. I'm a single parent, but they're all men. So I did a wonderful job, and I'm so proud to say I didn't say to them, don't drink, don't come home drunk, don't do this, because you say don't, right then and there they're going to do it. I always say to them, I said to my kids, if you got nothing good to say, don't say it, because your words will determine your tomorrow. So choose your words wisely over your children. Don't condemn them because they're drunk. You know, love them. They're hurting, that's why they're drinking. They need somebody to say, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so handsome. I'm going to stand behind you regardless of what. I go to 202, sometimes pick up my kids drunk. I don't give them hell. I cook something good for them, talk to them good, and say, okay, go to bed now, I'll see you tomorrow. And I don't yell at them. That's why I was in education for 35 years, loving young people like these here, planting seeds on them with a positive word. If you got nothing good to say about your children, keep your mouth shut, because that's who we are. That's why it's coming out of our in our heart and coming out of our mouth. So with this, I want to tell you, all of you, no matter your kids are sleazies, they're drunk, they're shacking up, don't condemn them. Love them. And you can see what beautiful people you're going to have sitting in front here. These, all of us here, we were there. Some of us look younger than everybody sitting here. You know, that's because we have a positive, joyful attitude. Masito.
I'd like to say one of the ways that we keep connected with the land and with the animals and with the water. This is what I always spread out with the kids, is the stories of our elders and our ancestors, what they shared with us and what they left with us. Is very important that we use that again and continue on using it. And up here in the Yukon, we're hunters, trappers, and fishing people, and we're survivors. And this is what keeps us going, is by going out in the land, staying connected with the animal, the water, and the plants. Many years ago, there was no houses and cars and trucks here before. It was just land and water and animals, and our family lived off that and passed down the knowledge that they learned from that. And that was very important for our younger generation as we were growing up. There's 4 or 5 stages of learning abilities that we have to do as we're growing up, from a baby to an adult. And you know, my first learning stages was 1 to 3 years old. And already I was catching rabbits, squirrels, and gophers on the land. I was skinning them out. I was eating them with my family. So that was taught to me by my parents, of the respect of the animals, of the respect of the land, and we use that, and because that was passed down to them. and for them to pass it down to me. And we grew up with that. And this is what we would like to connect with the kids. If we can connect with that with the kids and show them those stages of growing abilities, that what we have to do and get done before we even hit 25 years old. Because when you're 25, you're basically on your own, and nobody's going to be telling you what to do and how to do things anymore. So that's the way I kind of learned my growing stages. I was very fortunate. I've been to residential school, and then during the weekends, holidays, I was always out in the bush. I was always hunting. I was always trapping, and I was always fishing, and that's what kept me going. And this is what I want for the kids today. I've been going into schools for a little over 25 years and sharing this knowledge with the kids of hunting, trapping, and fishing. I was bringing in the bones from the moose and the hides and the skin and the meat and the sinew that we use from the animals. And we learned that from our elders, and what to use and what not to use and what to respect. So these kind of things were very important to a lot of us. And it was very important that we shared this with all the young generation, so they learn that next, because it was taught to you. So it's your turn to teach it to the next generation, and out of respect and knowledge and wisdom and out of understanding. That's the way elders put it for us, and they left us a lot of tools, and if we learn how to use those tools, it'll be more stronger for each and every one of us, for our kids especially, because they're next in line, and we want them to have a good life now, and to be well respected, just like we are now. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to mention that Annie, you nailed it. About quit judging and labeling the kids. If they have an addiction, that just shuts them down more, or they just drink more or do more drugs. If you can just show the support and love to them, that'll make all the difference. And like Russell said, it starts with the youth. They're our future leaders. And that's what we're trying to pass on before we leave. Is all our knowledge and stuff. And I tell counselors, I said, when you talk to kids with addictions, I said, are you an expert at alcohol or drugs? And a lot of them will say, no, we're going by the books. I said, you can do more damage than you will helping them. So be careful in what you say or how you say it. It's a tone of your voice too, and everything. It's, if you start raising your voice, saying, like, no, don't do that, don't do this. Like Annie said, when you say don't, you want to do it all the more, which is true, because I worked for Care Society for 15 years. We're doing a lot of counseling and support work when they were going through the residential claims. So I've seen a lot of it, and I helped a lot of people, and I supported them all the way through it, and that's what we need to keep in mind, be careful what you say or how you say it, and your tone of voice, it means a lot to them. You can do more harm, like Annie said, than helping them. Mussy.
Madhu, thank you, Roger. So I'm going to call my very reluctant staff member up to ask the next question, and then we will continue with the answers. The girls have to go coach. Thank you, girls. Going to coach.
The next question that I have, or we have, what do adults commonly get wrong when it comes to supporting positive youth development?
Isaiah.
One thing I think is punishing people for bad behavior. Like, I think that if somebody does something that's bad or like that you don't like, it like she was saying, you don't condemn them or you don't punish them like a dog. If you're trying to train a dog, you don't kick it if it's not doing the right thing. Sorry. You wait and you be patient and you wait until it does the right thing, and then you give it a treat, or you you loosen the reins a little bit. And I just that's helped me a lot with just because I like to be free, but I also get that you have to have these responsibilities. And yeah.
That's awesome. So positive reinforcement, love, compassion. Anybody else?
I think not pressuring youth to speak about what's happening and like forcing them into a small classroom to talk about what's happening, and because they'll just close themselves off. And I think letting them come to you, or just, having this letting them know that you support them is really big, and that you are there if they need you anytime. And it's just about letting them find when they need to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. Next question. What would a dream substance use prevention project look like to you?
I think that would be on the land. Maybe having people who have actually experienced some type of hurt or heartache, or I think everyone in this room has known someone or has struggled themselves with substance abuse and is a coping mechanism. And why are they, like, going back to like what Florence said, why are they using? And then just going off from there, and maybe they're getting abuse at home, maybe it's self-esteem, maybe it's systematic racism, maybe it's intergenerational trauma. It could be any of these things. And when you take away that substance, you're still left with that problem. So how are they expected to cope? So not necessarily saying a dry camp or anything like that. And maybe abstinence is a really good form of growth, but you still need to implement those other coping mechanisms. And we need to start teaching our youth that there are other avenues. And it's not just putting them in a program and saying go forth. It's developing one-on-one connections, and how does that progress? How does that go forward? And once they develop those coping mechanisms, how do they solve those problems when they get a new problem, when all these other things come and go?
Once more, I just want to give credit to my beautiful mother. She brought me up with integrity, with values, with respect, with faith, and with hope. I love my mother because She didn't drill anything into me. She was a loving mother, and that's how I choose to be for all my kids. Even though their father is not around, I still be the mom and the dad for the both my kids. But I do it with compassion. I do it with love. When I was 14 years old, I come home just drunk. I don't know what I did, but my mom greeted me at the door and she says, "You little bit drunk, baby." I tell her, "Yeah, Mom, I don't even know what I drank, but I drank with those people." And she said, "Queasy." Soon as she said, "Good," she said, and I come in, she said, "You hungry?" I say, "Yeah." She said, "I make you something." She never scream at me or yell at me and put me down, even though I didn't do good things. But she showed me this is how you need to be a parent. I love you unconditionally with the way you behave. And eventually, not her nagging at me every day, I darn quit everything. I sit up here, I smoke one joint when I was 14. That's it. I never went back to smoking again. But if she ever said, "Stop smoking, stop smoking, stop drinking, stop using," I never, I would never stop. As a mother, I sit here today encouraging all the parents, when your kids come home drunk, don't be embarrassed of them, but tell them, "I love you." Encourage them. Let them trust you. These are all students that are under my wing, and staff too. Even if they're downtown and they're off the wayside, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna help them. But I don't put them away. So with the skills as parents we are, don't forget we all made mistakes. We all did wrong. That's why we're all sitting here. There's nothing wrong with mistakes. They're all correctable, and they're all lessons learned in a positive way from those mistakes. So don't be hard on children, but I walk downtown with my drunk boys sometimes. They say, "Mom, you want to come to 202? I say, "Sure, just give me time to get ready." I go and I have fun with them. I let them know it's okay to have fun and dance and talk silly. And then I say, "I'm going to go home now." They say, "Well, us too, we're going to go home." I never beg them to go home. So the more compassion, love, and caring thoughts you have in your heart, our children will all be like everybody sitting up here, drug-free. They might fall down one day. I did that lots of times. I quit for 20 years, I went back. I quit for 10 years, I went back. But each time I learned a lesson. And I'm not as rowdy as when I was 14 partying. I'm more quieter now. Masi.
Wow. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have something to respond to on that question? Okay, we have one last question. I know you guys are feeling like you're in the hot seat, literally. Oops,
I
sorry.
really don't want this to sound corny, but maybe like getting applications, I don't know, bringing them to certain people, or just getting them to find the applications, or they have like a place they can go to where they can fill out these applications. And then they just like fill in a bunch of stuff that they love doing, like, I don't know, stuff that they like. Yeah, basic, I'm not going to get deep into stuff that they love doing. And then maybe somebody can help them, whatever it is that they love doing, and they could try and get their mind off of this substance, and they could help them for like a couple weeks, get like month or two and check in on them every now and then, see how they're doing.
I really like that idea. I believe in school, like in my experience with school and stuff like that, and seeing people with substance abuse in school, it seems like there's a huge persona around people that do it. A lot of people look down on them and are very discouraging to them and aren't accepting of what is going on in their life or what they have gone through. And I think it would be a huge aspect to be able to go to school, have people to talk to about that kind of stuff instead of just getting sent home or getting suspended even or expelled. I mean, yes, I get it's a no substance policy, but at the same time, it would be nice to be able to go to school because you do spend a lot of time there as a kid. So it would be awesome to be able to go talk to people or find other ways to do it with other kids even that are going through the same stuff as you.
Also, could we give a big shout out for them not being on their devices for an entire 45 minutes? Like, this is the youth of today. I'm very proud of them. She was just reading the notes her friends made last night.
Yeah. And I had to reread the question because I forgot about it, but that's okay. I think having a club after school or in the evening when dopamine levels are down would be really beneficial because I know a lot of people feel really horrible about laying in bed all day or just not having the energy to do something and just feeling like you don't have a purpose or you just weren't productive that day. And I know a lot of people feel like so put down, and I think looking forward to seeing your friends or people that can be your friends is a really good idea, because just being around people that you know support you, and just going for a walk, I think it's quite beautiful because you just know that you have the support. And I know how hard it can be to join a club because I'm a very anxious person and it's hard for me to open up to strangers, but I think like with the support, a lot of people can do it. Thank you.
Oh.
Could I add on to what she just said? Like, one thing I do that what does like really help me especially and has helped me in the past is having a purpose or like having even just like a goal, like going to the gym or being on a sports team or coaching a sports team. Like there's a purpose and there's a end goal, there's a 1-year plan or like a 5-year plan or even just like a 1-month plan. And like you want to get super big if you want to go to the gym, or you want to spike a volleyball down straight down when you're playing on a sports team, or you want your kids to look up to you when you're coaching a team. And I just think when people don't have that purpose and when they're just doing nothing, especially with me, I kind of just shut down. Like, I know school is supposed to be my main purpose, but it gets overwhelming a lot. And if I don't have anything else that I enjoy to do, I shut down and I don't do any of my homework, and I just sit in my bed and binge Stranger Things or something. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's kind of all I really had to say to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Finn. Okay, the last question. Lastly, the floor is yours. So what would you... Oh, I need to be on camera. Okay. Lastly, the floor is yours. What would you like to advocate for in terms of substance use prevention? Sorry, I talked fast. Should I repeat that? Everyone's staring. Lastly, the floor is yours. What would you like to advocate for in terms of substance use prevention?
I would like to have a club that supports anyone, and I grew up going to Elijah Smith School, and there was a boys' club, and my dad was like the person that ran that, and he would bring all different kinds of kids together, kids that needed support or just needed friends, and kids that just like to have fun, and he would bring them together, and they made friends and they got the support. And I grew up in that. I was in boys club because it was an after school activity until they made girls club. So I think having clubs like that would be amazing. And one second.
She really was in boys club. And everybody was like, we got to have all after school club because Lahella's in boys club. It was one of those cool things where you have like a kid in grade 7 blowing outside of all the parameters and blowing it all up. And you were amazing.
I was recently talking to a woman from Victoria Falconer's Women's Center about starting a feminist club, and she asked me if it should only be for she, her identifying people. And I was like, I think it can be for everyone because everyone is very affected by the patriarchy, and we just need to talk about it and talk about what we can do to help. And just having a support place for everyone would be really beneficial to a lot of youth. And then I talked to kids that I know in my school, and they were excited about it. And I haven't heard anything about it recently, but I know that she's still working on it. And if you have questions, I'll let you know. Thank you.
So I'm getting the evil eye from Tosh over here. We're running out of time. So this is basically the floor. If anybody has questions for my little team of champions, because they really are. Tosh says I move mountains, but I don't do it by myself. I do it with youth and knowledge keepers. They are absolutely critical and crucial to the stuff that we're doing. So it's not by myself, it's these guys. Anybody have questions for my kids? It sounds like you got to come up to the mic, according to Tosh.
Thank you all, first of all, for speaking. It's terrifying for me being here in front of a group. I can only imagine on the other side. But I do have a question, and it's based off something that you said, Brooklyn. And my question is for the panel. But I had to write it down. You've said that what was helpful for you was outside school support, that you needed to find emotional, that's my nerves, that you needed to find adults who you could emotionally connect to. And my question to all of you is if you can share your insight or your thoughts about what might have been preventing those emotional connections from happening in schools.
That's a really good question.
Oh, thank
you. Should have wrote the questions. That's really
You're
good.
my voice. It is an important one, right?
Yeah.
So I'm paying attention.
But no names. Okay, Brooklyn.
Okay. So something that I've just heard over and over and over again that I try to repeat in my day-to-day life is that we don't know something we don't know. So if I don't know, I don't know. And something for a lot of teachers that I've been hearing over the last few years is, I don't know. And why can't we, and children, they can't know something they don't know. So maybe the emotional connection that I think teachers are having a hard time with their students is that, are they holding themselves back? But I think it's more, I think a teacher can reach out to a student millions and countless of times and they can still refuse that help. And something needs to spark, a different spark needs to happen for them to open up and secure that attachment. And that's empathy. A lot of staff and a lot of people just lack that empathy. They say, oh, that's really tough. I hope you get better. I hope that like goes well for you. But what are they actually thinking of you? Are they actually going to like want to check in? What happened? And like those teachers that checked in with me afterwards, giving me that advice and seeing how it went through. The follow through was what I really needed. And the attachment style that I needed was just someone to talk to, someone to almost push me to be persistent. You can't change unless you want change, but you could definitely give that support countless of times. And even if your student is neglecting that and it's just like really turned off for that day, try again tomorrow. Continue to try, because eventually they're going to crack and that crack gets bigger and they're going to let you in. And that's what we really need. A lot of these people are sheltered and they're closed off, and they need some type of curiosity. And you guys need to be curious. It doesn't need to just be some type of boundary, like you go to school, that's your 9 to 5 job, you're a teacher, and then you go home. Like, there has to be some type of in-between. And it's not just that classroom, it's not just handing out homework, it's not just assessing those marks, it's assessing what's going on with their mature growth and their mature thinking. Because a lot of these students, they have adult problems. Many of them have problems just like what you guys might be suffering with at home. And they're dealing with that at 13 years old. We're expecting children to act like, we're expecting our teenagers and youth to act like adults, but we treat them like children. And we only give them the possibilities of what children can have. So why don't we add them to the conversation?
Thank you, Brooklyn.
I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit as a mother, as a teacher, as a friend, and as a colleague. I worked for 30-some years in education, and she hit the nail right on the head. Sometimes I'm not judging, I'm not criticizing, but that's my viewpoint of what I see to what she's relating to. Some teachers come in, and doctors and nurses, social workers come, including Annie, come into the workplace without knowledge, skills, and understanding of how to be a parent. I've taken parenting skills not only for myself and my kids, and I went to California for that parenting skills. Oh my God, it opened my eyes. And I thought, wow, all these students here are my children. I gotta be an awesome parent. But the thing about that, if the teachers, doctors, or nurses don't have the ability and the skills and a family, there's some people that don't have children and they're coming to me and saying, Annie, I don't know how to handle Annie over there. She's just swearing and she's just being so rude to me. Can you go and help? So I go over. Right away, the students, their attitudes change. Because I have the parenting skills to be patient. Maybe I taught million students throughout my 30-some years through the Northwest Territories, Yukon, Alberta, and the States. Number one thing is, if you don't know and don't have kids, ask elders to help you to be a shining parent, no matter what. Because that's what we're all missing. That's what I was missing. I didn't know how to be a parent, so I'm just cracking whip everywhere. Screaming, yelling. My kids were getting worse. So I finally paid my way to go to this parenting place. What an amazing place I went to. And that's how I treat people. Some of us need a little, don't be shy to say, I need help to be a parent. Don't be shy to say, I don't know how to cook or do laundry or discipline a child. Ask for help. That's what we're here for. We've been there, done it, and now we're just like golden elders with patience, with honor, with love, and with peace. We're not going to chew your head off. We'll be so happy to help you. All these students here are sitting up here because they had a purpose. They had a reason. They've been in the water. They've been in that dirty mud. Now, on their own, they're shining like Miss Annie. You're modeling for your children the way you model. Children gonna wanna hang around you. I'm still at FH. I got my old classroom. That's where kids hang out. Have all of them there, and when they have trouble, I talk with them and say, hey, what can I do for you? I come to their level. I joke around with them, play around with them, sit down, have coffee with them. Give them that opportunity. Don't say, go to your bedroom and go to bed. You're grounded. Don't say that. You could kill your little children. Instead, say, come. Mommy loves you. Daddy loves you, just like me. My kids are older children. When they want to go to the bars or go dancing, mother is coming.
I'll be there too.
Yeah. I don't care what anybody think of my kids, but I'm there to support them. I remember seeing this young lady. Look at her here today. She's growing with dignity. She's growing with love and compassion. So with this, all of us parents, let's change the way we treat our children, our patients, our clients. Because some teachers and some of us parents, whatever is in us, gotta go. If you're saying, no, Annie thinks she knows everything. Annie thinks she's so better than me. While you're saying that, it's in your heart, that's why it's coming out of your mouth. So if you know I'm better than you, internally examine yourself inside and see what the hell is hiding in there. Then work on that instead of pointing fingers at Annie and saying she's like this. Because it's awesome. I used to be like that. I was like this around out there. You know, you couldn't shut Annie up enough. And that's why I'm still standing here talking different language though, and different attitude. You wouldn't have never want to meet me then. But that's what made my boys all have an awesome attitude like me. We're models, all of us. If you wonder why Annie's kids are all drunk out there, that's because maybe Annie was drunk out there back in the day and they see that and think that that's the way to go. Merci.
Midhu, any such Thank you so much. We hold you up. I have one really quick question from the crowd, and then we have two from the online gallery. We have lots of questions, but I'm sorry that we don't have time. Tosh told me that. I'm like, come on. Tosh is like, no, we don't have time.
Hi, Dringwinzi. My name is Cheryl Charlie from Old Crow with Fontaine Government. I just have a question. I know some of you have visited Old Crow and have spent time with the youth there. If there's ever in the future going to be community advocates.
Young people, I think that's totally in the works. The biggest thing is having somebody who can wake them up in the morning, drive them to work, you know, if they're tired or sad or sick. You need somebody in the community. I'm not picking on you guys. I know it feels like it, but it's not true. Just someone to really support them. Young people are like, it's so, helping youth is a big, big thing because a lot of them are working through their own stuff. So if they have days where they can't, you know, come in and support and be that person helping the kindergarten kid do shapes and colors, then we have to be really, really gentle with them in that way. But absolutely, yes.
Yeah, we just have a lot of our youth that are spending a lot of time on the land practicing the culture, and I just think they go hand in hand with education as well. Thank you.
Thank you, great question. I would love to see youth in all the communities doing what these kids are doing. It's a model for change. I'm not gonna start crying, I'm gonna embarrass you all. Okay.
So there were just a few comments from online that we wanted to share. Marianne Dick says, the young people are doing such an awesome job. They are great advocates. Keep going strong and talking the good way. Okay. Adria Marsh says she agrees. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing all of that with us. She also says she's very proud of her nephew, Landon Marsh. And Catherine Porter says, I want to acknowledge how amazing all presenting youth are today. Gunlashish, thank you for speaking and being amazing young leaders. And for the girl who dances on the girls' side of the dorm with her girls, keep doing that. For someone who spent all of high school on that same girl's end, it will be some of the best memories of your life. Much love. Keep being awesome, everyone.
I'm going to give the floor over to Tosh, and unless anybody has any last few comments, Brayden? All right, I made a promise. I'm going to keep it.
That was amazing. And I love the auntie shout out online. I have 34 nieces and nephews, but I would be all over that. That was awesome. When you guys were introducing yourselves traditional way, you know, who your grandparents are, those are some big names, right? Stephen Frost, John family, Enoch family, Susan Gleason, like those are huge names. And I want you to know that I think each and every one of you made all of our community super proud today. You freaking rocked it. So huge round of applause. And for the knowledge holders and the elders, I always appreciate your words of wisdom. And Annie, you always make me laugh, like every time. I think that you always have that way. So thank you so much for the elders to be on the panel as well. And I so appreciate your guidance. They often say a good symbol of if whether or not you've done a good job is if you've got more questions than time. And I think Rebecca's like, we've got 5 more questions. And then so I gently said, no, we don't have time for all of them. And she just throws me under the bus. Yeah, not gentle. No, maybe I wasn't gentle. But thank you guys so much. And if you you don't know, you can't see her very well because she's invisible behind the screen, but if you can exit this way, Jen's got a little something for you on this side. So thank you guys so much. So one more round of applause. It is 3:26. We are going to open the floor for a couple of short reflections, and we're going to close for the day. For those online, please join in by just joining in on the chat. But I'm going to ask if 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 people want to share any sort of aha moment or big highlight that you had from the conversations you've heard today before we close. And if you're online, just type your aha moment in there. Anybody want to share an aha moment? Yeah, please. Oh, Yukon University, represent.
Not an aha moment, but I just want to thank Jen and Ian for making sure to include youth in this, because a lot of these conferences don't have youth, and it's just awesome. I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's just so good hearing young people, their voices. It's so different than adult jargon. So thank you so much for making that a big part of this conference.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Good point.
I just want to say a couple things. I went to school with some of those youth that just presented, and I'm honestly very proud for them to get up on that stage and sit there and answer and advocate for myself as a youth. And I want to touch on what Anne said about, instead of getting mad at your kids and punishing them, love them and comfort them. I came from a home where I was constantly in trouble and I was constantly getting punished for everything. And I think that if I grew up being comforted and loved instead, I would be a completely different person than I am now. I wouldn't have as many mental problems as I do, and I feel like I'd be able to understand and connect with youth a lot better than I am.
Oh, goodness cheese. Thank you for your bravery. Aha moments. Anybody else on a reflection? Heidi?
It's maybe not an aha, but it's a yeah moment. Like
same thing.
Annie, you worked with my dad in McPherson. He was the principal there, Bill Warren. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll talk to you after. But was that, it's always, I'm a teacher, so I hear you listen to youth all the time, which is different than just being with youth. And so it was so wonderful to hear that, but the oh yeah was like everything that they said about how they feel and what the blocks are. That's the same as for adults. It's the same stuff. It's the same reasons we don't want to get out of bed. It's the same, all of those things. So what I've learned in teaching is what's good for me usually is also good for them. And I learn from them just as much as they learn from me, and it usually has nothing to do with math. Anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Heidi. You can come up next. No, go ahead, and then Cheryl.
So I just wanted to say what a great idea the peer counseling was, is what we called it I had it when I was younger. It was it was so healing and so helpful. And I guess I still use that strategy today, and I didn't even think about it until it was mentioned, because my son is now halfway across the country in Gatineau, Quebec, and I was going to his friends today, and they were up on the youth panel. I'm going, he's really lonely, so can you guys text him? Because I know that that's going to be more beneficial to him coming from his friends than me. So I thank you guys for that. But yeah, I hope those that are listening that we can try to get more peer. When I was younger, that's what we called it, but it would be peer groups, I guess, to kind of resolve issues and, have that commonality amongst them.
All right, goodness geez. Also, thank you for the donation of the reading glasses.
Hi, Megan. I just want to add on maybe what Heidi said, and also with the harm reduction presentation this afternoon. I think, and then I take, because I used to be one of the education directors, and the booklet that was developed for the high school, the graduation toolkit, we talked there about how parents and students and teachers all need to be involved together for students to be successful. And I think that, and when I was listening to the harm reduction presentation, there again, we talk about youth and, alcohol and drugs, and there again, parents are not part of the solution. And anything that we do in education, whether it's in the school, in the community, because of the trauma and the residential school that people have been part of, the grandparents, the great-grandparents, the parents, the child, the grandchild are all a part of it. So together, they need to be a part of the solution together. The connection needs to be there. Because in my home community of Fort McPherson, which is really special, godparents are a big thing, huge. Like you can go back generations and say, oh, that's my godbrother. It's huge, so that family connection is really important in anything that you do. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Great. I think we've got a comment or a couple of aha moments online, Cass.
I can. I haven't had a chance to pre-read this, so here we go. And I didn't get the name. Catherine Porter says, I commented on the health promotion presentation saying we need to rethink what substance abuse looks like by realizing substance abuse within our youth typically is them trying to take control of their own life. A lot of our youth have experienced traumas most adults couldn't imagine. Losing their parents, peers, abuse, and being in social services systems. So in their minds, they take control of what they can, which looks a lot like starting to smoke, drink, and do drugs. So if we're to tackle the youth substance abuse crisis, especially with our high-risk youth, we treat them like young men and women who have the control to quit their addiction and work with them like we would adults, creating safe spaces, especially in communities, for them to speak openly about their substance use and create treatment, health, and safety plans, instead of reprimanding them and being another person who tells them what they have no control over.
Thank you for that. Okay, it's 3:33. I'm going to suggest we close